buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Dukes Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
Take my rifle, this is my gun, this is for
Firearms Friday.
Firearms Friday. Yeah, baby, you know what it is. It's that one day a week where we get a chance to focus on the Second Amendment and gun rights and all the good stuff that goes on in between. Hello, my friends, and welcome to Friday. I don't know how we got here. I mean, this has been kind of an angry week all week, you know, a little bit of frustration, a little bit of concern about all the different things that have been going on in the state. And sometimes I don't know, it feels like it just leads to now we get a chance for a little therapy, you know, I mean, it'll be good. We'll continue on here and do it. But today is the day that we get a chance to talk about the Second Amendment, gun rights, and everything else. And today we've got quite a full show today. In just a few moments, we're going to touch base with L.D. Howard, who is a Second Amendment advocate, a gun shop owner, all-around good gun guy up in the Palmer-Wasilla area. They've got a brand new range up there and a new training facility that he's working with. My friend Donna Anthony has been putting this together for quite some time. And it's exciting to see the potential for what they've got going on up there. So we're going to be talking with L.D. Howard here in about, 10, 12 minutes. And we'll get the full rundown of everything that's happening there. So folks up in the South Central area will have some new options on the table for them up there, and we'll tell you all about that. In hour 2, we're going to be joined right at the top of the hour by Top Shot Chris Cheng, who comes on. We missed him last week. He usually comes on once a month, and luckily today we get a chance to chat with him and see what's going on and get a feel for everything that's happening in his world. That's coming up in hour 2. And then, of course, as always, we will finish up the show with our friend Willie Waffle, who will give us the weekend movie review. He may have some new news as well about some nerdy stuff, some new Star Wars nerdy stuff. I'm kind of excited about it. So it's a good day, baby. It's a good day to be alive in America. Firearms Friday, of course, started because I was sick and tired of watching the talking heads on television and in the news media, and the politicians basically not know what they were talking about. I mean, I was going to say, deceiving, but it's just stupidity. It's not really deceiving. It was just flat out stupidity. They just didn't know what they didn't know. And I mean, that was everything from some of the biggest elected officials out there. I mean, going back all the way to, going all the way back to 2007, when 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 one of the authors of the assault weapons ban was on Tucker Carlson's show talking about, showing Carolyn McCarthy showing exactly her ignorance on what exactly she was passing laws about.
In February, you introduced the Assault Weapons Ban and Law Enforcement Protection Act of 2007. It would regulate semi-automatic assault weapons, including weapons that have pistol grips, a forward grip, and something called a barrel shroud. Weapons with a barrel shroud would be regulated. What's a barrel shroud, and why should we regulate it?
I think the more important thing is that it also would have had banned the large capacity clips that Colin Ferguson had used, and also the killer.
Okay. But I read the legislation. I'm sorry, I read the legislation and it said that it would regulate barrel shrouds. What's a barrel shroud, and why should we regulate that?
The guns that were chosen back in those days were basically the guns that most gangs and criminals were using to kill our police officers. I'm not saying it was the best bill, but that was the best bill they could get out at that particular time. I actually don't know what a barrel shroud is. I believe it's a shoulder thing that goes up.
I believe it's the shoulder thing that goes up. A barrel shroud. I believe that's the shoulder thing that goes up. I mean, that was just like one of the most egregious examples that go on. But it was, again, over and over and over again, Joe Biden telling us to, just get a shotgun. We don't need an assault rifle. We don't need a pistol. Just get yourself a shotgun. Blast both barrels out the window if somebody is in your house to scare them off. Of course, somebody actually did that. And then when they tried to use that defense to the police, when the police showed up, that was a no bueno response for them. But we saw it, and we saw it in the news media. We saw it in the entertainment industry, how every character in every drama or show that wanted to get a gun to protect themselves was some kind of knuckle-dragging troglodyte who just couldn't understand and was more likely to kill his own family member than they were to actually be able to protect anybody, because only the police and the military are qualified to have guns and do all this, regardless of the fact that there's a vast, vast quantity of people out there who are ex-military, retired military, or people who have been raised with guns for years and everything else. It's just anyway, the whole thing was just my attempt to try and bring some common sense to the whole debate and discussions on firearms. That's what Firearms Friday was all about. Because again, you got people who are deciding for you what you should be doing with what is a fundamental, inalienable right. And they say things like this.
Put a pistol on a brace, it turns into a gun. Makes it more, you can have a higher caliber weapon, a higher caliber bullet coming out of that gun. It's essentially turn it into a short barrel rifle, which has been a weapon of choice by a number of mass shooters.
Again, putting a brace on a pistol turns it into a rifle, making it to be able to shoot a higher caliber bullet these people have no idea. No idea at all. And so Firearms Friday was born. And that's where we're here today. We like to answer questions. We like to talk about things. And we like to go over the hot news of the day. I caught Brandon Herrera on YouTube. And I don't know if you follow Brandon Herrera on YouTube, but the guy is really good. He's one of my favorites. He, Coleon Noir are probably two of my favorite gun commentators on YouTube. And he was talking yesterday. He put out a video yesterday that included some new information on something we touched on last week. First and foremost, we need to announce that the ATF has now dropped its zero tolerance policy, which I don't know if you were familiar with this. Under the Biden administration, the ATF had adopted what they called a zero tolerance policy for FFLs, federal firearms licensees. That's dealers, gun dealers, licensed gun dealers, where they've decided that they couldn't attack gun owners because that was outside their purview, and they couldn't manufacture anything new because, nobody was putting new laws on the books. So they decided instead to reinterpret the laws as is their wont, and to crack down on gun dealers, not for actually being criminals, not go after gun dealers who were shuffling guns out the back rooms to cartels, No, wait, that was the ATF. I'm sorry, I forgot. They were the ones that were doing that, not gun dealers. Anyway, they were, they decided instead to pass what is basically a zero tolerance policy. And they would go and do snap inspections of mom and pop FFLs where they would find where somebody had not filled out paperwork correctly. And when I say not filled it out correctly, it's not that the information wasn't there. They were literally shutting down FFLs for putting the state abbreviation on a form. So instead of writing out Alaska, they would put AK. Instead of writing out, Kenai Peninsula Borough or Fairbanks North Star Borough, they would put KBB or FNSB. They would write, instead of writing yes or no, they'd put Y or N. Those were all paperwork violations because they require the form to be filled out in its entirety to its full. These are just a few things. Now, in case you're thinking, oh, this is all hyperbole and there's no, come on, how many problems do you think there were? After the instituting of this new policy under the Biden administration, revocations of FFL licenses increased by 500%. They were going after people's livelihood, their ability to actually make a living, destroying lives, reputations, and businesses, insinuating in the community that these people were criminals, and that's why their licenses had been revoked, not because of a simple paperwork error. I mean, they used to do this occasionally. I remember Ryan Horsley at Red's Trading Post in Twin Falls, Idaho, was a friend of mine, and we had him on the show several times because he got into a running battle with the ATF over some of these exact things where they literally put Y instead of yes, or they abbreviated the county, instead of writing out the entire name of the county, it would, and they were trying to take his license away, which had been in his family for something like 70 years. And he ultimately won that, by the way, but under today's he would have just been out of luck to get it done. Well, the good news is that has been revoked. That has now been rescinded, and that policy is now in the trash bin. Good on you. Glad to hear it. But then Herrera told us about something else, which we touched on last week, some of the new shakeups that are going on over at the ATF, including the dismissal of Deputy ATF Director Martin Richardson, who was forced out. Now, Herrera said he was fired, but initially it was just reported that he had finally retired. 35 years in the ATF. And I didn't have any real background on this guy, but Herrera was able to dig back and take a look at some of the interviews and some of the other stuff, and it was astonishing. This guy was at the ATF for 35 years. And one of the things that he was the spearhead or the architect of was basically reinterpreting laws and then bragging about it later on. This is Herrera on Marvin Richardson.
This guy had bragged in the past about how much they've been able to do at the ATF to circumvent having to get laws passed by Congress.
That was no small feat, because literally when you talk about changing it, we had to do it through a regulatory process, not a statutory process, because we couldn't change the language of the statute, but we could redefine the terminology that's in the statute.
He's talking about how many extra rules they're able to put on law-abiding citizens without using the legal system, circumventing Schoolhouse Rock and just putting in whatever he thinks should be the rules, not what the Constitution says has to happen.
Yeah, and this is a typical New Age response from politicians, specifically and particularly Democrats, where they were unable to get laws passed in Congress. So instead, because Congress has abdicated its responsibility in actually passing laws, instead, by changing the interpretation of that same law, which they have done multiple times now at the ATF. And it's one of the things that we're hoping. But bye-bye, Marvin Richardson. I hope you enjoy your retirement on the taxpayer's dime after bragging about violating people's rights by reinterpreting laws. It's another good sign that we could be moving in the right direction at the ATF, and we're hoping that this kind of stuff continues. But that was like the big hot news of today. I'm so excited to see these kind of things changing, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So we got more LD Howard waiting in the wings, eating all of my virtual donuts. So we got to quit here to get to the thing because, man, I don't want him to eat all of them. I need one of those. We're going to continue here in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll continue in just a moment. Again, LD Howard up next. Chris Cheng at the top of the hour, Top Shot Chris from Season 4 of the History Channel's Top Shot Show. And then, of course, we'll be finishing up with Willie Waffle. It's a busy day today. Busy day. We'll continue with more right after this.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, we're in the break, and we're ready to get things ready to rock and roll. Let me get through the chats real quick here before we bring LD on. I want to say hi to everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, my dad's in the room. Everybody say hi to my dad. Hey, Dad. Love you, Dad. I hope you're doing good. Tell Mom I said hi. All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yada, yada, yada. Well, MD, what will MD say about the president today? Nothing. I will say that I appreciate his position. He was questioned yesterday about the shooting at FSU and asked about whether he'd be calling for new gun control. And he said, it's not the guns that shoot the people, it's the people that shoot the people. And so he wasn't interested in that. So, I mean, he's at least standing by what he said in this last election cycle. So as of right now, I'm been happy with the response so far. We'll see what's going on. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Joe Biden in the shotgun comment left Jeannie to say, in CQB, shotguns have a purpose. Yes, but sticking the barrels out the window and blasting them into the air is not a valid form of self-defense. I think we all know that, right? I mean, that's just not what's going on. Anthony said, I listened to Biden on the shotgun thing. I now own a Turkish 12-gauge shotgun built on an AR platform with a mechanically assisted reset trigger and a 30-round drum magazine loaded with buck slug. It's the best. I love it. Joel says, I like Hickok 45. I do too. I do too. But Hickok 45 is more about a lot of the more practical stuff. Herrera and Chris Cheng or Collier Noir are more about the commentary, which is what I'm there for usually to begin with. So I love Hickok 45, Garand Thumb. There's a bunch of guys on YouTube that I do enjoy watching when I get some time. Anyway, let's see. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Kim says, I have to hit the back button and then hit Michael Dukes Live in order to get new comments and a suggestion. Kim, I recommend you close the app, kill the app, try to update the app, and then relaunch it. That's my recommendation. Somebody says hello to Donna. I don't see her. So Donna Anthony must be in the chat room. So Donna, hello. Oh, there she is. She just popped up. Okay. Excited to hear it. Donna is in his house. Let's say hi to Donna Anthony from Point Blank Firearms and Self-Defense. LD Howard is also here with us. Let's go over here and get things ready to rock and roll. We're about 90 seconds out from rejoining the radio, so we'll check our audio feeds, make sure everything's good to go. Let's bring LD on board here. Good morning, LD. How are you doing this morning, my friend?
Morning, Michael. How you doing?
You know, it's just another beautiful day here in paradise, in the land, cosmic hamlet by the sea of Homer. I'm loving life and just enjoying myself down here. You all ready to go here this morning?
Yep, I'm good to go.
Okay, good. Well, you sound good. You look good. We're all doing fine. So we're going to jump into this here, and I'll just pull you back into the green room here for just a second here while I finish up with any comments or commentary before we get ready to do. Did you hear that they actually passed? What was this? Did you hear that they actually passed the detachable magazine ban? Looks like that Keltec abomination now has a villain origin story. Who passed the detachable magazine ban? Was it Colorado? I don't know which state I must have missed which state you guys are talking about. But if it's Colorado, no surprise. I actually have some stories. They're actually asking Pam Bondi to intervene in the Colorado case. I don't know if you saw that. But they've actually requested that the new Second Amendment task force take a look at this. Not that they can do much. If we get enough time today, we'll talk about that as well. We'll see where it's been going. All right, 20 seconds. We're ready to go. The Michael Dukes Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the YouTube-y things and the Facebook things and all that stuff. Let's get more people involved in the conversation. Let's do that. Here we go. Try to hold a straight face, LD. That's all I can say. Try and hold a straight face for what you're about to hear. Here we go. 3, 2.
What the hell's an assault weapon?
You know, if we could just figure out how to get all of the murder guns and the attack guns and not keep selling those to people and just sell protection guns, I think that would be great and solve a lot of problems.
Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
That's right. Just protection guns. That's all I have. I looked at the tags, man. I looked at the tags before I buy those guns. I'm like, oh, no, this one says this one. I guarantee you that LD Howard, he's checked all his tags as well, and none of them say murder guns. They all say protection guns. LD Howard with Point Blank Firearms and Self-Defense joins us here this morning to talk more about some great happenings up there in the Matsu, and he joins us right now. Good morning, LD.
Morning, Mike.
Hey, thanks for coming on board and being part of it this morning. He was nodding his head. No, all protection.
Yeah, they're all safe. They're all protecting guns. There's no murder guns. I don't even have any assault rifles technically. So,
hey, really, who needs that? I mean, I do have an assault Penguin, but that's a whole different story right now.
I'm looking at getting one of those. I got to save up my pennies for one of those.
Yeah, well, you remember the trunk monkeys, the assault trunk monkeys
right
from back in the day? I mean, the Penguins make them look like pikers. It's a deal. LD, so a little bit of background about you. I mean, you're one of the big 2A guys up in the South Central area in the Matsu Valley. You've been around the block, done a lot of things, but you are part of this new venture with Donna Anthony over there at Point Blank Firearms. You guys have been working like dogs just to get something good happening up there. So first of all, tell me the big news, and then we'll get into some back origin stories, some hero origin stories here. Let's hear what you have to say. So tell us about what's going on.
So, Point Blank has been in the Valley now for about 14 years. We've done a lot of good work as far as firearms training and both here in the Valley and statewide. Point Blank, we do a lot with other groups of people such as church security teams. I know down in Homer, we've been down there quite a few times with different churches, setting up their security teams, giving them training, security assessments, things like that. This might surprise some people. We actually have done some education union training even up here. And so it was kind of a shock to me when they reached out for us for firearms training and self-defense training. But as these 14 years have gone by, we've really tried to listen to our students, try to listen to what they're wanting, try to listen to kind of, the next step for them after the first initial basic, firearms training, and then furthering for, skill builders or concealed weapons training or things of that nature. And so we all got together and said, hey, we need to do a shoot house. We need to do something where there's a force on force, real world application type training that's not just paper training, not just range training. And so building came up. We've all decided to go in and kind of make this happen. We actually have 2 other people that are going to be in the building that aren't Point Blank. We have Todd Herring with Weka Tactical. For those that are familiar, down in the Anchorage area, he's a gun store down in the Anchorage area. He's opening a new store that's also going to be in the same building as Point Blank Firearms. And then we have Sheepdog Krav Maga is also there. And so it's Point Blank has become kind of a one-stop shop now for all things self-defense. And so, the other thing that we've seen as we've listened to our students is a lot of times they'll come to our classes and unfortunately they've gone to a big box store, they've gone to something like that, they've bought in the wrong holsters, they've bought in the wrong belts, they kind of get talked into maybe a gun that doesn't fit them very well. Especially, I think this is indicative of women who come to our courses. They go to a box store and someone says, hey, you have to buy the Ruger LCP 380. And nothing I'm talking about Ruger. Ruger makes good firearms, but the LCP 380 is not sometimes the most optimal for self-defense. And so, the trigger pull's a little rough. Other things about it are hard to be accurate with. And so we wanted to do something that was, like I said, all-encompassing one-stop shop that gives the best service to our clients and our customers. And so with Weka Tactical with Todd, he's going to have a try before you buy type of a thing where you can take any of the weapons out, try it, shoot it, qualify with it before you buy it. And so we're really excited about that. And also Point Blank, we started making our own holsters because we've seen the lack of good quality holsters or ill-fitting holsters or holsters that are not comfortable, things of that nature. And so we're trying to really give the best customer experience and kind of get someone springboarded into firearms.
No, I mean, this is fantastic. You guys have kind of now become the firearms mecca, essentially, of South Central, where you've got the trifecta of training, both armed and unarmed defense, the ability to purchase at point of sale, and that try before you buy thing. That's been happening in the States for a lot of years, where ranges or gun stores have ranges attached to them, and then allow somebody to go out and actually test the guns beforehand. And if I get a question, because Firearms Friday is all about, there's no such thing as a dumb gun question, right? I mean, that's the whole thing about Firearms Friday. And I probably had the question of, 300 times, what's the best gun for me to get for self-defense? And of course,
right.
the best answer is the gun that fits you and feels good in your hand and is, that you are able to shoot and wield properly and are able to train on. That's the best gun that you can bring for self-defense. And people don't understand that each gun feels a little bit differently. You and I know what I'm talking about, but there's been times when I picked up a firearm that looks good on paper. The stats are all good, but I pick it up and it just doesn't fit my meat hook, right? My paw.
Yeah, absolutely.
Feels like
absolutely.
Feels like a chunk of 2x4 in my hand. It doesn't feel like an extension of my arm. And yet you picked up other guns that feel good. You're like, oh, that feels good.
I imagine, Michael, you've had the same thing where it's, I have some fairly expensive guns. I shoot a staccato. I carry a staccato on duty, an
Right.
XC. I've had some guns that are fairly expensive, and then all of a sudden I'll pick up a weapon that, is maybe a $399, $450 range handgun, and I'm pulling groups and I'm loving it and it feels amazing. Everything's smooth. And I'm like, oh, geez, I don't have to go out and spend, $2,500 to $5,000 to have that premier,
Right.
experience. And so I love the idea. I think it's going to save a lot of people a lot of money. And then also it just educates people. It teaches them this is what a good gun feels like. And not only that, but in the store you can feel it, like what you were talking about, Michael, to your point that, it feels good in my hand or whatever. But then when you don't feel muzzle flip, you don't feel the trigger pull, you don't feel a lot of those things that really make a difference in someone's ability to defend themselves. And so I'm really excited about this part for sure.
No, I mean, it is super exciting. Because, if you have a gun that's uncomfortable to shoot, that is not enjoyable to shoot. And you talk about the 380 debacle is always something. There's nothing wrong with 380. There's nothing wrong with the Ruger LCP. There's nothing wrong with any, the problem is, usually, like you said, if it's a woman, they get steered towards that. You don't realize the 380 is a really light gun. It's got a pretty bright recoil, and then the gun is usually lighter anyway, so that just exacerbates it. So a lot of times it becomes unpleasant to shoot. And so it's not fun to shoot, so you don't want to go out and train, and so you only put a box of shells through it, and then it sits in your purse or on your shelf or in your bag or wherever, and you're not familiar with it. Where if it's fun to shoot, you may want to go shoot 500, 600, 700 rounds through it and feel like, oh, that's great,
Exactly.
and you'll be familiar with it. So it's a great lesson to be learned on there. And also the accessories, talking about a holster. One of my pet peeves is, not having good accessories. We have a rule here on the program we call the rule of 3, which is if you're going to carry a firearm, go out on a daily carry, go fourth arm, do that you should commit to yourself that you're going to spend 3 times. If you're going to buy a gun, you need to spend 3 times the cost of that gun overall. $500 for the gun, $500 for the training, right? Basic training, concealed carry training, combat pistol training, whatever it is, and then $500 on good accessories. And we're not talking about the $5 bargain bin Uncle Mike's floppy, it has to be a good belt, a good, usually Kydex or high quality leather holster that will remain open after you draw the pistol, and etc. And so you guys are playing right into what we've been talking about here. And I think that's a huge thing that people miss, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I love what you said about the LCP, that they take it out, they shoot it, and then it sits either. This is the scary part for me. And again, I'm not trying to offend anyone. Either it sits in their closet, or they've shot 2 mags through it in a class, and then they actually strap it on their hip or put it in their purse, as you said. There is a lot of responsibility that comes with self-defense. And I love our state, the fact that we're constitutional carry. I love constitutional carry. I think it should be everywhere. But with that responsibility, or with that right, obviously comes a responsibility. There's an inherent responsibility to train yourself, because the minute you start exercising the Second Amendment, you become an ambassador for it. Now, you can be an ambassador for good, or you can be an ambassador for bad, and that's wholly and solely upon your training and your decisions. And so, yeah, you may be legally able to do something and constitutionally protected to do something, but if you've not trained yourself, and again, even with your gear, even that mishaps with gear can cause issues that now we have to mitigate, or we have to fight against, because the breakneck reaction from those on the left is, if something goes wrong, we must ban it, we must make it evil, we must whatever. And so, exercising that freedom of self-protection and right to keep and bear arms, and you do become an ambassador in your own little way. And so the more you train, the more I know it's sometimes costly, but you become a good ambassador. You don't become a liability, as you will. So
yeah, I would say more negligent discharges are caused by bad holsters than almost anything else. You know what I mean?
100% agree. Yeah, there's actually there's a certain holster we don't even allow in our class. So there's 100% true. And this is this it just comes from education, and that's the unfortunate thing is some people think that since we're constitutional carry, that they're just going to strap it up and go, and they don't do those things. And then we have the NDs, we have the assault 4s, the fear assaults, because they don't know, other things like that and the legalities of it. So super important to educate yourself. That way you do exercise your right responsibly, and you keep your people safe around you, and your family safe, and even your populace safe by knowing the laws, being well trained, knowing your point of impacts, knowing the gun safety rules, knowing all the things you need to do to be a responsible gun owner in America.
Yeah, well, there's nothing worse than people wanting to be able to defend themselves, buying a gun and then treating it like it's a mystical totem or a laser shield. Okay, I've got the gun, now I'm safe. No. You have to train. You have to understand. And of course, we advocate on the program, even though we are constitutional carry, that if you're going to go out and do it and you've never taken the concealed carry permit course, you should do that. Even if you don't go get your permit, you should do it.
Absolutely.
It teaches the legalities. It tells you about lawful use of force and deadly force and everything else. It tells you what you're putting on the line by doing that. It's an absolute necessity in my mind.
I'll tell you, the students, that's the two things usually of all my reviews I get after we do a CCW course. The 2 reviews I get seem to be the most they got out of it was the legal portion, and the most they got out of it in a practical stance is our simulator. So we have a laser shot simulator. It's a shoot, don't shoot. Has over 1,200 scenarios that we go through. And it's a real, I mean, it's funny because I'll get guys that have, either been military or law enforcement or something to that effect. They'll go stand in front of the screen and we're doing the full immersive simulator thing. And it surprises them how visceral it is to them about how it feels real. And they actually get, sympathetic responses of sweaty hands and auditory occlusions and visual occlusions and all kinds of things that they thought, this is just a screen. Why am I having this kind of reaction? And then as they train with it more, because we actually do separate trainings and private trainings for pretty cost effective. After about 1 or 2 trainings, or even just an hour or so, their focus is great. Their tunnel vision goes away. They're starting to really pay attention to little things in a high stress situation that'll make or break that situation or save their life. And so it seems like we've really listened well to our students and our customers as far as what are they getting the most out of. Now, how do we amplify? And that's why the shoot house became so pivotal for us, was that it's not just paper training. It's going to be in-house, moving your feet, learning to get your angles. What is it going to look like on a home invasion? What's it going to look like in an office invasion? What's going to look like, say, an ATM? We have a faux or fake ATM type setup where you can actually drive your vehicle into the bay, go act like you're going to the ATM, and what's that look like in real life? Not what's it look like in your head or playing the what if game or something of that nature. And then same thing with the house. What's it look like? We set it up as like about a 1,200 foot or 1,200 square foot spec house. There's a kid's room right by the parents' room. So if parents want to make a emergency plan, what does it look like on paper? How are those kids actually going to run into that room? Right. I think it's just crucial.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you, Donna put me through my paces on the simulator here a few years ago, and it was a humbling experience. I've had a lot of training. I've been shooting since I was very, very young, and the first half hour was some of the most nerve-wracking time I think I've ever had on there. And like I said, it was very humbling near the end of that, because even I got, if you know what I mean, about some of that stuff. And you're right, sweaty, tunnel vision, the whole deal. It's much different than paper targets. And I want to talk a little bit more about the shoot house and stuff like that. We're talking with LD Howard, Point Blank Firearms and Self-Defense, their new facility in the Valley. We're going to continue this discussion here in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show continues. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We continue with LD Howard right after this.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Ha, nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
All right, we're in the break right now. LD Howard is our guest. We're talking about yeah, I still remember the final scenario. I did well, I think, through a few of those, although, again, nerve-wracking all the way through. And the last one was I was following a homeowner back into their home, and right at the door. And as they open the door and they walk in and they turn around and the guy's got a gun and you don't notice it. And it was, man.
Don't feel bad, Michael. I failed that one too. That ambush one is incredibly hard unless you are on point and you are really ready to go. I think Donna threw that one at me just to humble me a little bit. And it was like, yep. I let my guard down a little bit.
Well, being known as a gun guy and walking in there and then her offering, I'm like, oh, great. I should have known it was a setup. I should have known. No, but it really is. I mean, I think I was only on the trainer for a half hour, 40 minutes maybe. And yeah, boy, it is so amazingly realistic. And then to actually be able to do the shoot house thing, and I want to talk about that, and maybe some folks don't understand what that means, and we'll go through kind of you can explain it to us, but it's just so good to see these kind of things come about here in the state of Alaska, because we've just been so underserved in so many ways, not through really the fault of anybody. It's just, we're far away. We get the thing, we're at the end of the chain. Down in the States, you could probably drive 2 or 3 hours in any direction and probably find a indoor range and maybe a tactical shoot house or something within a 5-hour drive or something. And so it's it's amazing that we're finally getting some of these things in the state.
Well, I think a lot of things too, it's kind of a testament too that we didn't let, as you were talking about some of my background earlier about the Second Amendment stuff, everyone who does know me know how pivotal I was, or kind of how involved I was with the fighting the shooting range ban up here in the Matsu borough. And so it's kind of, for me, it's closure / a ha-ha moment that not only did you try to ban this, now we're kind of stepping it up, and we're going to really offer people what we should have been offering a long time ago, is good, responsible ranges and good, responsible training, and just kind of double down on it and just say, hey, we're here, and we're here to train. We're here to exercise our freedom. We're here to do all the things that we should be doing. And so for me, it's kind of like capping the end of the idea of trying to ban shooting ranges and some of those agendas that the Matsu borough had there for a while, until we got our assembly flipped and done the right way. So
yeah, a couple people in the chat room are talking about the holster you said that's banned. I think I can get is it begin with an S and end with an ERPA? Is that the is that one of the holsters, or what holster?
I can neither confirm or deny that, as long as yeah. But yeah, you're on the right track. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, it's ERPA.
Yes.
It is banned. It is banned. Yeah, there's just nothing, there's nothing worse, LD, than enjoying a television show. I was watching this new show that I really like called Tracker. And it's interesting to watch. A lot of television shows have really upped their game as far as firearm safety, safe handling, true gun tactics, and everything else. But nothing is worse than this guy showing all the proficiency with the firearm, and then when you see the close-up of him pulling it out of his small of the back holster, it's a $5 Uncle Mike's, Cordura soft floppy holster, on like a dress belt, and you're like, dude,
yeah.
dude, you're killing me. You're killing me. Anyway, it's good stuff. And I think we're winning. I think that shows something, quite honestly, what I just mentioned, because I've been noticing that a lot more. I was watching something, what was it, Criminal Minds or something, and like the early seasons, like 15 years ago, and the gun handling was horrific. And then the more you get into it, you realize gun handling has become almost a point of pride. And I think that's a great idea, because again, it's showing safer use and safer things, and showing that they're paying closer attention to it. And I think that shows that we in the gun culture are kind of winning the war in that regard. Do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think actually, probably, Michael, you're the same way. That my wife, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, hated watching any action movie with me. Was like, can you just shut up and watch the movie? You're ruining it for me, because I'm sitting there going, well, that's bull stuff. That's wrong. This is wrong. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like that gun doesn't even make that noise when you rack the slide. That gun does. I mean, I'm just like, my brain was melting. I'm like, this is horrible. And so I think you're to your point, 100% right. That I think it really stepped up, and I think the most time I saw it being really palatable, or seeing it, was with John Wick series. Just how differently tactics were and things that happen. And so I think what happened is I think you're absolutely right that people have been training more. People have realized they should be training more. And so now they actually realize it when they see it on television or Hollywood, instead of just that cheesy glamification, or kind of that grandiose gun handling and unrealistic kills and all kinds of other stupid crap that people are saying now, that's not right. I'm not going to watch this show. It's garbage. You know what I mean? Now I want to see something that wants me to train and wants me to be better and show something realistic, so that I can actually buy in to what I'm seeing, instead of just, the endless Arnold Schwarzenegger M60 belt that keeps getting longer as he's shooting, things like that,
Yeah. The 15 shooter revolver or whatever. Yeah. I mean,
right. Evil Dead is still my favorite. Evil Dead, where they had the lever gun. I think one time I counted, it was like 39 shots out of a lever gun. It was great. I loved it.
The Michael Duke Show, not your daddy. What the hell's an assault weapon? What isn't? If I assault you with a penguin, doesn't that make it an assault weapon? Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Duke Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
We're back now. LD Howard is our guest, Point Blank Firearms and Self-Defense. We were just talking. LD, I think your wife and my wife would probably love to have wine together because my wife was the same way. Just stop talking. We can't watch this movie. Your guns. We used to call it gun sinning. You're gun sinning the hell out of this movie, and you're totally ruining my suspension of. I'm like, it's ruining my suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, my anxiety's off. My anxiety's up here just trying to watch this. I can't handle it.
I can't handle it. But we were just talking during the break about how Hollywood and has really gotten better about that. And it did start, I believe, I agree with you, with the John Wick movies where they were showing reality, reloads, malfunctions, real deals, and it really, I think it really, again, shows more about the explosive growth of training in the United States for private soldiers. It's been huge over the last 10, 12 years. It has been just blowing out. Now, you talk about this shoot house. And so for folks who are listening to the show that have no idea what we're talking about, explain to me what the facility is. Is it just a range? What is the shoot house? What does it entail? Walk us through this here.
Okay. So our shoot house is what it's set up as. We try to set it up as two different kind of styles and also kind of modular, so we can really tailor it to whichever customer or whichever students want to be there. And so we have a setup that looks like about a 1,200 square foot house. And so, or even an apartment, or even something that is, it's pretty big, actually. It's 1,200 square feet. So bigger than most shoot houses I've personally been to. But it's set up with a living room, a kitchen with actual hallways, and everything's built to spec. This isn't a modified, skinny type of deal. I wanted it to look as realistic and lifelike as possible. And so what it is there's a kid's room, a parent's room, bathrooms, closets, laundry rooms, kitchens, living rooms. And what it is it's real reality-based training. It's something you can do force on force. We can use sim rounds. We can use T for E, like rubber rounds. And for those that maybe don't know that stuff, it's similar to paintball, but it's still a little bit of pain stimuli, but it's rubber, or it's plastic, or it's things of that nature. And so what it does is it allows you to train much, much more practically and much more realistic with, second chances, because you're not actually using live rounds. And so what we wanted to do was to set this up for all of our students and our customers who are saying, I would like to do this. I've heard you do this for churches. I heard you do this for schools. I heard you do this for other type of things. I would like to do it in my home. That's where I'm worried about. I'm worried about home invasion. I'm worried about, my kids being home. And, we're even making scenarios for kids to learn how to do things if their parents aren't home. We're really trying to focus on the kids. That's one thing that, trust me, for those listening and those that are students of Art and Kleinars, we've heard that you guys want stuff for kids and for youth and whatnot. We're really, really working hard. That's our next step. Once we get this part, locked in, up and going, the kids are going to be the next focus on firearms training, as well as situational awareness training, as well as hunter safety training. Kind of be a place where people who know our name and know that we offer is going to be for the kids as well.
Now, we know that, of course, being a firearm owner and being a firearms aficionado, a lot of us, because of the cost, have had to move to, dry fire training, so the X laser stuff and a lot of other things, because, it gets expensive. You go to the range and, if you don't plan on spending at least $300 on a range day, that's a short trip to the range.
Absolutely.
So affordability is a big thing. How have we done on the affordability angle for doing something like, bringing a family together or a group of friends together to do something in the shoot house? Is it something that's affordable?
Yeah, actually, we're going to offer a couple of different packages for that. We're going to offer some classes that are just a one class type of deal. And then Dawn and I were talking about, we're going to have a monthly membership, and there's going to be tiers of it. So it's going to really decide on how far someone wants to go with their training. And each tier is going to offer certain classes and certain times in the shoot house, in the simulator, in the commercial type shoot house area, even with Krav Maga, even with other things of that nature. So again, it's going to be wholly and solely on what you don't need to buy things you don't need. We really wanted to make it to where if someone has a certain training they want to do, they can go for a certain membership, and that membership, an elite tier, a basic tier, advanced tier, as far as how much time they want to spend in the shoot house, how much time they want to spend on the simulator, other one-on-one training for, next level tactical carbine, tactical shotgun, skill builders. And that's, getting into your jams, getting into your more realistic shooting, while moving your feet. Because that's the hard thing. If you don't have a shoot house, or you don't have somewhere safe to control something like that, yeah, I can teach those things on the range, but you're not moving your feet as much. You're not doing those things that would be indicative of a real life situation. And so that's why we've really pushed that to the nth degree. Even our simulator, we charge $85 an hour. And so a lot of times I half jokingly say people rent me by the hour now. And so I go there, we allow up to 6 people, sometimes 8. And so I get couples that do like a triple date, double date type of deal, which is cheaper than going to the movies. They bring pizza, they bring soda. We have a good time, and we run an hour or 2 on the simulator. And I've had a lot of that lately. And people are really excited about the simulator. I think they're going to be more so excited for those who've not had a chance to be in a shoot house or a real force on force, real live action scenario. People are going to be excited. People are going to really kind of hit home. That's why we're looking at a monthly membership type of deal.
That would be fun. I mean, it really would be a fun date night to be able to go out and do a double date and go do the simulator together. That would be a fun situation. And I'm sure it's even better than it was, because I think it's been probably 7 years or so since I ran it, maybe 8 years since I ran it. And it would be fun to see some of the updated scenarios and everything else. So where do folks find out about this, LD, and how is it open now? Is it opening now? Is it a grand opening?
No.
Give us the full rundown, and how do we find out more?
All right. So our grand opening is April 26th, Saturday, April 26th from 10 to 4. It's at 6177 Mountain Heather Way in Palmer, Alaska. You can go on to pointblankak.com, get more information there, kind of see what we're going to start putting on our website as far as the memberships, the simulator, shoot house, the exciting things coming up. For the grand opening, we're going to be giving away guns. I'm trying to facilitate some knives from some other companies. We're giving away free memberships. We're giving away trainings. We're giving away holsters. We have USCCA is going to be there. Their rep is bringing a gun to give away. We'll have Old Boy Cuisine. For those who know, Kalani Ross is going to be there with his food truck. We have Kerry Corbin, actually, for those that know, up here and down there for Perk Up. Kerry Corbin is sponsoring and bringing coffee. And I want to echo something about what Kerry does. Kerry owns all the Perk Up Espressos. One day a year, she lets all of her baristas out, all the young ladies out, and they actually come do training with us at Point Blank. And it is an incredible training, because we know that in the history of Alaska, there's been some times where there's been baristas that have been murdered, killed, stalked, other horrible things. And so I have to applaud Carrie for what she does with her employees and sending them out. And, you know, it was nice to see, because at Point Blank, we try to do things too. Like, I don't know if people may not know, but at Point Blank Firearms Academy, if somebody comes to our academy and has an active DV order, or has a sexual assault, or has something else like that they've been a victim of, we offer the training free of charge. And that's our way of giving back to the community, that we try to prevent more victims. And so, yeah, if there's someone in your life that you know, a woman or someone else of that nature, that has a protected order, has been a victim of domestic violence or something, they can send them to us. We train them free of charge.
LD Howard, pointblankak.com is the website, pointblankak.com, the 26th. Put it on your calendar. If you're up in the Valley or in Anchorage, that's where you need to go and check it out. LD Howard, thank you so much for coming on board. We appreciate it. Hold the line for a second. Folks, we're out of time. Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion. Up next, The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. All right. Common Sense Corps date night. It would be fun to do a Common Sense Corps for all the fans of the show who are Common Sense Corps members, to do a gathering and a get together there at Point Blank. That would be amazing.
We can make it happen. We got the room now, Michael.
We can do it.
I think your listeners might want me to do the simulator on you, and I'll film it, and then we can play a highlight reel on the next Firearms Friday. That'd be great.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. No pressure or anything. No pressure. Hold on a second.
Oh, you do awesome. You do well. I know that.
I got to drop a link to Chris Cheng here. So quick question before I let you go, because there was a couple good questions, and maybe you and I should have a discussion about this at a future show. Brian asked, because Dr. John Lott's new study just came out. I don't know if you're familiar with it or been looking at it, but it's a new study looking at civilian firearm defense in mass shootings, and are they effective? Are they a problem? And he said, considering the recent study by Lott on the effectiveness of civilian versus police in stopping mass shooters, do you see training as a reason, or more prevalence of as the reason, or the more prevalence of people carrying or training or whatever? Because that does show that they are 41% more effective at stopping shooters than police officers. And there's a
Absolutely.
variety of reasons for that. And Lott points out the biggest reason is police are wearing a big shoot me sign on their chest because they're wearing a uniform, and concealed carry civilians are not. But yeah, I'd love to have you back to discuss that. And then secondly, because Anthony also carries a staccato, he says, I implore you to ask LD what his go-to carry holster is for his staccato. Being a fellow double stack enthusiast, holsters for full-size duty pistols get funky. Curious what he recommends.
I carry mine also on duty. I'm in law enforcement, so on my on-duty one, I carry the Safariland and I carry the Alien gear for on duty. For off duty, I actually had Donna, who's making these new holsters. I had her make my own holster, so a custom fit to me. She'll sit there and make it on the spot. She can make a holster in about 20 to 25 minutes. And so the nice thing about that is it fit the contour of my hip. It fit perfectly. She can actually change the Kydex angles to where it doesn't pattern very much. And the nice thing is Don only charges anywhere from 85 to 110 for the holster. And so you have a custom fit to your weapon, to your light, to your this, to your that holster made for you on the spot while you wait. So if you come and take one of our courses and you bring your weapon, she'll actually make the holster while I'm up there rambling on about laws and all those stuff. Your holster will be done by the time it's ready to go. So that's, like I said, we really, really, really tried to listen to customers and really try to provide the most services. Because, I mean, unfortunately, this is a hard part, especially with like the try before you buy type of a thing, is guns, unfortunately, are kind of like cars. Once you walk it off the lot, you lose 20% off the top. And so, you have people who go out and spend all this money on guns, and then they realize they don't like what Michael and I were talking about as far as doesn't fit my hand. I don't like how snappy it is. The trigger pull is horrific, whatever. And all of a sudden now they're taking a bath on reselling it to somebody else. And so, this is a way that people can take that money that they've either bought bad gear with or have that box of holsters or belts or lights or lasers or all the other garbage they've been talked into buying, via media or via box stores. Kind of get rid of that and let's take that money and drop it into some ammunition. Let's drop it into some more training. Let's become that effective armed citizen.
No, and I will echo the custom Kydex as I carry a G21, so it's full size, and I'm a big guy, but it's G21 with a light on it, and having a custom made holster, like you said, formed to the side of your body with tuck hooks so that your shirt can go. I mean, everything else, it has been the best. I've had this holster rebuilt 3 times in 12 years just because I wore it out. But it's the same holster every time because it is the most comfortable, least visible, easiest to use. Kydex is amazing as an everyday use item. It's an amazing piece of kit, and that's what I recommend as well. All right, LD, pointblankak.com. Sorry, pointblankak.com. Thanks for coming on board. I see Donna's been in the chat room as well. It's good to see her. And we'll have you back on soon. Maybe we'll have go read that Dr. Lott study. It's fascinating. Absolutely.
I will read it. I will definitely read it.
I appreciate you coming on, my friend. Thanks for being a part of it.
Thanks, Michael, for everything.
All right, you bet. We'll talk to you again soon. Okay, we're about 2.5 minutes out. I see the top shot. Chris Cheng joins us here in the thing. Change your hair again, man. What are you just like? What the heck, man? What the heck? It looks great.
I'm cleaning up my act.
You're cleaning up your act. Your microphone is not the microphone in front of you. It sounds like your webcam microphone. You're echoey.
Hold on.
Check
Can't have that.
Check your thing, man. Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Oh, here we go. How's...
there you go. There you go.
Oh, now I sound like a real person.
Now you sound like a real boy. It's all good. Now I sound like a real boy. Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion, season 4 of the show Top Shot. How you doing, my friend? You ready to dive in and do this thing?
Yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll. I've had a very fun past few weeks doing gun stuff, gun chatter, and ready to chat all about it.
Hey, when I do gun chatter, it's with a Tommy gun because that's the only thing that chatter. Anyway, okay, we're gonna jump into it then. You sound good. You look good. Hold the line. I'll put you back in the. Do not eat all my virtual donuts, man. Seriously, keep one of those for there. Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion, season 4 of the show Top Shot. Audrey says, Chris, I like this haircut the best. I do too. I think it looks really good. Yeah, he's in Sarah Montalbano's house. He and Sarah, are you guys roomies? I didn't know that. She was here earlier this week. She was in his house. Of course, I accused her of breaking into his house, so it's probably the same thing. All right, here we go. We're going to jump back into it. Ready to get things ready to rock and roll. Hour 2, The Michael Duke Show. Common Sense, Liberty Base, Free Thinking Radio. Let's do this thing. Yeah.
Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Duke Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed. Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Duke Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
Take my rifle, this is my gun, this is for mine, and it's for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Firearms Friday. Your chance to sound off on issues of a 2A nature right here on the Michael Duke Show. Good morning, my friends. Welcome to our favorite day of the week where we get a chance to talk about guns. That's right. We're doing it all today. And today is it's full up, man. It is full up. We've got just finished up with LD Howard talking about the new shoot house, range, and training facility up in Palmer in the Matsu, which is absolutely fantastic. And to look forward to hearing more from him here again in the future. That was hour 1. We did a couple headlines and everything else. But right now, we're jumping into it with our good friend, Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion from season 4 of Top Shot. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Cheng, author of the book Shoot to Win, and spokesperson for the NSSF and all the other, president of the Asian Pacific American Gun Owners Association. And I mean, you dude, how many hats do you have to wear?
Many hats, indeed.
Many hats. Chris Cheng joins us this morning to talk wood ticks, lunatics, and politics. I guess that's what it's all about. So how you been, my friend? What's before we get into any headlines or anything else, what's happening?
I have been having the time of my life, traveling a lot. I was just in Coronado, which is down in San Diego a few weeks ago, at the invitation of Noveski, which is a rifle company out of Oregon, and I was basically shooting guns with a bunch of Navy SEALs and special operators and operators going to operate. Like, I'm a civilian, so like all these dudes are just like ripped. They've got tattoos all over their bodies. Everyone's got at least a mustache, if not, full beard. And I'm the only dude out there that's like clean shaven with 0 tattoos. And I'm just like a normal sized guy, but super fun. A former Navy SEAL hosted about 25 of us at his private house and range in the El Cajon area. And what a fun day. It was just really a great time. I got to bring out my Barrett M99, which is a bolt action rifle chambered in 416 Barrett, which is a big boy round. And it was Barrett's response to California banning the 50 BMG round. This was like maybe 30 some years ago, I think. So the 416 round is phenomenal. The ballistics are, arguably much better actually than the 50 BMG. So yeah, we got to fire the big boy out to, we were shooting out to like 800 yards.
Wow.
Pretty great.
Wow. God bless Ronnie Barrett. That's all I could say.
Yeah.
God bless him and John Moses Browning. two of the patron saints of the gun culture, Ronnie Barrett and John Moses Browning. Anyway, it sounded like a blast. It must be good to be you, is all I'm saying. It must be good to be a celebrity as you get invited to these cool things. That's fantastic, man. To be able to see that. It's great. I can only imagine how much fun that must have been. All right. Well, some interesting and big news going on all over the place. I want to get your take on some of this. Of course, one of your neighbors, California, where Chris resides, has always been known as kind of the gun control mecca of the United States, right? I mean, they never saw a gun control law that they didn't want to pass, which is why I often ask Chris, why the hell would you live there? But I mean, he's sticking it out. He's got fortitude. But Chris, your neighbors to the east, they're vying for the title. Colorado, man, those guys over there, it's not a gun ban. That's a gun ban, right? I mean, it's they passed, and their quote unquote libertarian governor, Jared Polis, has now signed the ban into law. And essentially, this is a ban on all semi-automatic firearms. And they'll say it's not a ban, you just got to get permission. So you have to go beg the king to exercise your Second Amendment rights. Has there been any backsplash in California? Are they talking about this over there? Give me your thoughts on what you're hearing.
Yeah, I haven't heard any sort of backsplash rumblings here in California. With regard to following Colorado's lead, the what's happened in Colorado is really extreme, on the gun control scale of things, and clearly it's being challenged in the courts immediately, and but this is the thing that I've been coming onto your show for years now, and this is the fear, right? So we always talk about, well, why should listeners in Alaska care about what's happening in California? Right. And yeah. I've often said, look, like, we are one of the leaders in gun control in the country, and what happens in California could easily happen elsewhere. Look what's happened in Oregon and Washington State, and now Colorado, and these are all states that used to be fairly strong on the gun rights side and gun freedom side of things, and it's taken many years, but it's the gun rights in all those states have slowly been chipped away.
People would argue that this is the Californication of those states, right? Because a lot of times the mass exodus out of California, those people have flooded to Oregon, Washington, parts of Idaho, Nevada and Colorado. I mean, those are the bordering, that's where people are going. And we've seen that. In fact, just here recently, this last 2 weeks ago in Anchorage, of all places, one of the assembly members there attempted to get an ordinance passed in violation of the state preemption law, by the way, tried to get an ordinance passed for mandatory safe storage and 48-hour reporting and a bunch of other stuff. And she immediately got riddled full of proverbial bullets when it was all said and done, and it went nowhere. But this is the kind of thing that we're seeing. Like you said, monkey see, monkey do. Oh, California was like it. What's ironic, though, is people like, oh, God, I hated California, so I left. And then they go somewhere else and they go, well, but they have these laws. We should have these laws here. Never understanding that they're just, setting up their own future failure as well. But this is happening across the Western United States.
Yeah, you've got these Californians who are definitely exporting their gun control attitudes and other attitudes around failed progressive policies, ranging from law enforcement to homelessness to drug addicts to the economy, and then of course, on gun control as well. So what's going to happen in Colorado is, we'll wait and see. But I mean, the direction of things in Colorado is bad in terms of, we're just seeing more and more gun control bills, hit the legislature and then actually getting signed into law. Right. So the trajectory in Colorado is really bad. California, it's interesting. There's been some recent Ninth Circuit rulings on a few topics that were for example, non-resident CCW applications I think are going to be live here soon. So if you live in Alaska and you want to get a California CCW, there will be an application for that soon enough. So like that's wild. That is absolutely wild that this is going to become a thing. And there was some politics by the anti-gun side. That was actually kind of a concession of sorts that I can't remember the details, but this is the game that we have to play, right? That sometimes, if we force the issue on gun control advocates, that sometimes we're going to get what we want. And this non-resident, out of state CCW for in California, this is like one of those issues, which is really fascinating.
No, it's good to see. I mean, we are taking wins. We are taking W's around this. I mean, as much as Colorado is kind of a slam, we are taking wins across the country. And Colorado, and speaking of wins, Colorado may be the focus of a brand new initiative. President Trump and Pam Bondi have announced the formation of a brand new Second Amendment task force whose sole purpose is to protect gun owners' rights and citizens' rights for the right to keep and bear arms across the country. And it was noted that the Colorado Republicans have now requested that the Pam Bondi Second Amendment Task Force intervene and get involved in this case in Colorado. There's not a lot she can do from a legal standpoint other than to sue Colorado or join any other lawsuit, support any other lawsuit that might go on. But give me your thoughts on this new Second Amendment Task Force. If you had a chance to kind of analyze it, take a look at it.
Yeah. At a high level, it's exciting, that the president has, formed this task force and focus on the Second Amendment. There's a recent announcement that the ATF is not going to be enforcing basically, like they're not gonna penalize FFLs, right? Federal firearms licensee holders, basically gun shops. They're not gonna, if you have a minor ding, right, during an annual audit. The Biden administration was really coming down hard on FFL.
Zero tolerance policy.
Exactly. So that zero tolerance policy is being relaxed. I know that was a very big deal. And so it's interesting, when I talk to other Second Amendment advocates and then my contacts, within NRA, NSSF, and Second Amendment Foundation and the Firearms Policy Coalition, there is this hunger for the Trump administration to move faster, right, than they have. So on the one hand, it's great that this task force exists, but it's like, well, wait a minute, right? We're now 3 months into the Trump administration's second term here, and for some people, the Trump administration has not moved fast enough.
Right.
That they have not taken concrete action. Right. Task force is great, but task force may not do anything more.
Right.
Than what they've already done. So, and for example, I'm going to Atlanta next week for the NRA annual meeting. President Trump is not speaking at the NRA annual meeting for the first time in 10 years, right? He's spoken at the annual meeting for 10 years in a row, and this is the first year that he's not going to make it. I don't know why. Maybe there's a scheduling conflict or whatnot, but the president's relationship with the NRA is a little shaky at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, and I agree. I think we've been concerned about it. He's offered a lot of platitudes, but he's also the guy that put in the bump stock ban, who said, we'd take guns and worry about due process later and some of those things. Now, he has assuaged some of my fears on that. His response to the Florida State shooting this week was also, I thought, a very good, when asked about it, whether or not he would be pushing for more gun control. He said, it's not the guns that do the shooting. It's the shooters that do the shooting. That's what we need to focus on, which I think is good. But you're right. This is a good step, but is it enough? I agree. I think he needs to be more strident. I mean, they've taken out the zero tolerance policy, but there's a bunch of other policies that with an executive order, he could just reverse. And whether that's the arm brace ban, the 80% receiver ban, he could direct the ATF to just stop interpreting those laws that way, because that's how Biden put it in. So I would hope that he would do some of those things. I mean, most of us are absolutists on this program. We believe that shall not be infringed means exactly that. And we should be chipping away at those 20,000 something regulations that are regarding firearms out there. And he has a lot of power to do it. But again, we also need Congress to step up behind him and codify those changes in statutes, so we're not continually playing this game of badminton back and forth between a pro-gun president and an anti-gun president, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the president obviously has an opportunity to speak to the probably there's going to be 50 to 60,000 NRA members in Atlanta next week, and he has an opportunity to make some really meaningful proclamations and announcement on Second Amendment policy, but he's not going to be there. So that's telling, right?
Yeah.
That he is not taking that opportunity for whatever reason. But on Congress, it is exciting to hear progress on both national reciprocity for CCW, as well as legalizing suppressors as well. So, there's some real notable movement in Congress. And I agree, we really need to put some of these issues to bed, either through legislation or through Supreme Court rulings. For me, I think assault weapons bans and magazine capacity restrictions, those are most likely going to be decided by the Supreme Court. I just don't see Congress, being able to move the needle on those issues. But, this is where, we have three branches of government. Each of them have their own set of powers and scope where they can move the needle. The good news for Second Amendment advocates is we can leverage each of those three branches accordingly, and notch as many wins as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Between the Reciprocity Act and the Hush Act and maybe dismantling parts of the NFA, we might have some good opportunities here. We're going to have to see what that turns out to be. Chris Cheng is our guest, Top Shot champion. You can find him at topshotchris.com, author of the book Shoot to Win. We're going to continue with that here in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
Your mental suppository. The Michael Duke Show.
Chris Cheng, our guest, Top Shot champion, season 4. So Anthony,
I love it when you pitch your voice low like that.
Well, in a world where Chris Cheng does everything he can to prevent other people from. Anyway, Anthony says, Chris, I need an update on the GGC. He needs to know, how are you coming along on the GGC, the Gasian Gun Club? We need some merch. We need some merch, baby. We need some merch. The GGC.
I was like, wait, what's the GGC? Okay, but it's funny on that topic, right? So June is Pride Month, and I actually do have a lot of Gasian friends who are interested in learning how to shoot. So I think in June I'm gonna just host a private shooting event. Just to first time shooters just come and learn how to shoot, and we all know that is arguably the best way to make gun rights arguments, is to just let people shoot guns. They can shoot the scary AR-15, and they can after they shoot that and the Ruger 10/22, and they realize, oh, okay, like these are all like similarly functioning, and the scary black rifle is not that scary.
No, not. In fact, it's the easiest. I mean, teaching on an AR platform, especially to slight builds or women or people like that, and they're like, oh, this isn't nearly as bad as No, it's not. It's great. And especially
I mean, 12 gauge shotguns often beat up new shooters more than an AR-15 does.
Oh yeah. Well, especially if you start off with like a black dog machine, like a drop-in kit. I got a drop-in kit for ARs. It's a 22 caliber. It does rim fire.
Yeah, nice.
You put that in there, and you let them shoot that for a little bit, and then you put the bolt carrier back in for 223, and they're like, well, this isn't bad at all. No, it's not. It's easy. No, range days are good. Range days are what make it good. So it's going to be great. Yeah, you're sitting. Hey, look, you're sitting on a massive merch opportunity with the GGC things. Come on, man, get on it. I'd buy a T-shirt like that. Proud supporter of the Gasian Gun Club. It's gonna be fun stuff. All right. Well, in the next segment, we'll get into some of the things you're working on, some of the other things. What do you expect to come out of, and more? Did you go ahead?
Yeah, I want to take some time to talk about this LAPD museum gala that I went to last weekend in LA. And William Shatner and Lindsay Snyder, who's the CEO of In-N-Out, were like the recipients of these awards. And then I got into a classic debate with the LAPD chief around 45 ACP versus 9mm.
Oh no, the Ford versus Chevy debate of gun world.
But there was more to that conversation. I'd love to share that with your listeners. So
I'd love to hear that. You've been following the shakeups at the ATF a little bit. You've been seeing some of the things that they.
A little bit, yeah. I've definitely been hearing and reading about some of that. I've been following too closely, but yeah, I've definitely been seeing some things.
It was interesting. We reported on it last week. Some of the ousters at ATF. And then Brendan Herrera did a video yesterday, which gave us a little bit more backstory. I'm so glad some of these people are gone. This Marvin Richardson guy, I'll play this for you and you can comment on it. Marvin Richardson, who's been there for 35 years. He was acting director from 2021 to 2022. And he's been the architect of so many different things, including the reinterpretation. Listen to this.
This guy had bragged in the past about how much they've been able to do with the ATF to circumvent having to get laws passed by Congress.
That was no small feat, because literally when you talk about changing it, we had to do it through a regulatory process, not a statutory process, because we couldn't change the language of the statute, but we could redefine the terminology that's in the statute.
He's talking about how many extra rules they're able to put on law-abiding citizens without using the legal system, circumventing Schoolhouse Rock and just putting in whatever he thinks should be the rules, not what the Constitution says has to happen.
So I can't tell you how glad I am that people like that are no longer at the ATF. We're 8 seconds out. I didn't realize how close we were. So I'll let you comment on that on the other side.
Sounds good.
Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion, season 4. Again, you can find him at topshotchris.com. Go check him out. His book, Shoot to Win, is a great primer for new shooters. Let's go.
What the hell's an assault weapon?
You know, if we could just figure out how to get all of the murder guns and the attack guns and not keep selling those to people and just sell protection guns, I think that would be great and solve a lot of problems.
Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
We're talking with Top Shot Chris Cheng. That is his own personal intro, by the way.
I love it. I love it.
Top Shot Chris Cheng from season 4 of the History Channel Top Shot Show, author of the book Shoot to Win. Find him at topshotchris.com on the website. I ran out of time in the break because Chris and I were talking about something. For those of you who are just joining it and missed it in hour 1, ATF has had a lot of people that have been forced out. Some of them have said they've retired, they've taken early outs. One of them is one of the deputy directors of the ATF and he was formerly one of the acting directors of the ATF for a year. Name is Marvin Richardson, and he is out. And all I can say is good riddance to bad rubbish. We reported on this last week, but I didn't realize the extent of this guy's kind of foibles until Brandon Herrera put out a video yesterday. So I'm going to play it again, and just so folks get a chance to see, this is the kind of people that are inside the ATF and have been there. This guy has been there for 35 years. Here's Brandon Herrera on Marvin Richardson.
This guy had bragged in the past about how much they've been able to do with the ATF to circumvent having to get laws passed by Congress.
That was no small feat, because literally when you talk about changing it, we had to do it through a regulatory process, not a statutory process, because we couldn't change the language of the statute, but we could redefine the terminology that's in the statute.
He's talking about how many extra rules they're able to put on law-abiding citizens without using the legal system, circumventing Schoolhouse Rock and just putting in whatever he thinks should be the rules, not what the Constitution says has to happen.
This redefining of the language, we've seen this time and time and time again, reinterpretation of laws. I mean, determination letters. There was a dozen determination letters on the SIG arm brace for years. I mean, that all said it was legal. And then one day they decided to reinterpret it and say it wasn't. This is the kind of stuff that's going on in a lot of these agencies, not just under the gun thing, but many agencies. And this is part of the problem. Bureaucrats deciding to reinterpret because they can't get new laws passed. They can't change the law, but they'll go ahead and reinterpret it. These are the kind of people that need to be out of government.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very happy to hear that Marvin Richardson is out. And hopefully he's just enjoying his retirement and, set him off to pasture kind of thing. Now, for a lot of gun control initiatives, like this one's more insidious, right? Because it's not going through Congress. It's just left to the ATF, right, to decide what to do. And what happens, and I see this all the time, right, when something gets banned, whether it's by law or by a regulatory, letter type thing, I start getting inbound pings from people asking my advice, like, hey, right, should I destroy my SIG arm brace? Should I destroy my 30-round, AR magazines? Should I sell my AR-15? I've had friends who just they heard about some, AR-15s are banned in California kind of chatter, and then they sell their guns, right? They sell their ARs. They get rid of their magazines before they let the full legal process play out.
Right.
And so, right, for a lot of gun owners, hearing all of these, kind of back and forths about bump stocks, about arm braces, right? It's very confusing. And for your average law-abiding citizen, when you hear an agency like the ATF say, oh, arm braces are now illegal, right? That you must remove them, you must destroy them, whatever, right? You have a lot of gun owners who will just immediately comply without, again, waiting for a lawsuit challenge. And of course, your average American is not following, right, a lot of these gun, court cases, legal challenges, etc. Right? So it can be very disorienting. It can be very scary for a lot of law-abiding gun owners, right, who just want to follow the law. But we really need Congress, right? So I mean, this for me, it really starts with Congress passing laws that are clear. But let's even take a step back here. The problem with even passing laws about guns is, right, it's like we're responding to gun control initiatives, right? And these are laws that are trying, for example, to define an assault weapon, quote unquote, right? And we all know assault weapon is just this political term, right? It is a make-believe term that is so ill-defined, right? And now we're trying to clarify this ill-defined term that every restriction that comes with assault weapons, there's just some brilliant entrepreneur who engineers a solution, right, to get around an assault weapon definition that then turns an AR-15 into a regular rifle again.
Right, exactly. No, and this is the frustrating part, is that government is a behemoth and it cannot react to the speed that the private industry or the free market can. So every time they make a law, the free market just adapts and changes it, and it's a few more years, and they're just never going to get away from it. It's frustrating to watch. Okay, I don't want to, I appreciate your input on that. Let's talk a little bit. You had a great time last week. You went to the LA Police Gala. You met William Shatner. You did all this other kind of stuff, but you said you got into an interesting debate with the LA police chief. You stepped into it, my friend.
Yeah,
the Ford versus Chevy debate of the gun world.
Oh, it was epic, right? So I was at this a VIP reception, and Lindsay Snyder, the CEO of In-N-Out, and all of the LAPD museum board of directors, and like all of the top brass at LAPD were there. And so I happened to run into Jim McDonnell, who's the police chief, and I introduced myself, found out I was a gun guy, and he goes, "What do you think about the Glock 30?" And I just rolled my eyes, and I was like, Glock 30, that's a 45 ACP. And he's like, well, yeah, what do you think about it for concealed carry? I'm like, why would you choose a 10-round gun when you could choose a Glock 19 and get your 17 rounds? And So yeah, we had a little bit of back and forth with 45 versus 9mm. I was like, oh come on, like this is I'm a 9mm guy. I think the ballistics are of 9 are equal if not better than 45 ACP. I'll leave that for another day.
Oh my God, Chris Cheng and I are about to have an argument.
I know, because you mentioned you carry a Glock 21. Now at least you have chosen a higher capacity.
Oh yeah, no. And it's a 21C, so it's compensated and everything else. And I'm a big guy, so I could carry it. If I was a smaller frame person, I'd probably carry a 9mm. It's just I like 45, so I did what I. But this is the perennial debate of, and I think Anthony said it best. Anthony said something like, "This is an argument about." Basically shot placement versus, here you go. The 9mm versus 45 argument boils down to, can you accurately group your shots, or do you need bigger bullets to drop someone with indirect fire? And it's true. It's probably true. It's all good. All right.
But now the next question that came out of his mouth was actually more interesting. And he goes, "What do you think about staccato?"
Oh, that's the second time we've heard about staccato.
And I was like, I think staccato is amazing. Like, I'm a Glock guy, but like I'm not married to them, or I love staccatos. And the sort of the question behind the question, the way I interpret it was, would LEPD benefit from having their officers carrying staccato?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Now that's not what the police chief said, but that was like, why would you be asking me this question?
That's a budget item right there.
Yeah, right.
Top Shot Champion Season 4. We got to go, folks. We got more coming up. Willie Waffle dead ahead. The Michael Dukes Show, Common Sense Radio.
Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Dude, staccato. That's the second time it's come up this morning. We were talking to LD Howard, who that's what he carries. And he's both a range guy and instructor, and also a law enforcement. We were talking about that. So that's the second time we've heard it today. So yeah. No, great gun, but a little pricey for your on the street guy, right? I mean, that's not something you go out and buy wholesale.
No, but if staccato were smart, that they would just offer a massive discount, right, to LAPD. And it's like anything else, right? It's like, hey, get your first customer in, and then lots of other police departments around the world will probably follow. And then you charge them, full price. But
wait, did you just advocate for the drug dealer special? First taste is free.
Basically.
First taste is free.
Yeah, but the optics are a little challenging, right? I mean, look, like taxpayers, right? Look, of course I love staccato, but like, do I really want my taxpayer dollars, right, to be paying for staccatos when honestly, like, Glocks and Smith & Wesson and like lots of other great, more affordable brands are fine.
Right.
Or really good, really, right?
As long as they're not putting SIG 320s on the line, we're fine.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation for another day.
Did you see that? Did you see that video about the range where the guy was just
man,
that's just if anybody out there, and we haven't talked about this yet today, but if anybody out there owns a SIG 320, send it back right now. Video of a guy on the range with all the students there, and literally the gun went off in the holster. Guy didn't even it just went off in the hole. It's a man. And SIG has not handled it well. Oh
yeah,
man.
SIG has been just denying, and like, look, like where there's smoke, there's fire with this one. And that video was one of the more definitive videos that I've seen, where right, it's like, okay, like this is actually happening.
Yeah.
I know Ben Stoger is really trying to dig into this, and he wants to see more proof. And I know there's a lot of folks too who want to like, find some of these faulty guns instead of sending it back to SIG. Like, let's actually have a more independent third party strip this P320 and see if we can find out where these faults are Because
Right.
look, like there's just been too many reports at this point of P320s going off in their holsters. Like I think it's a great, like the gun shoots well, but like I don't own a 320 and I don't have any plans on
Buying one,
owning
yeah.
one anytime soon.
Well, I think it was Gray Guns that said Gray Guns actually put out a press release that said there was reports that some of the guns had Gray Gun parts, which are aftermarket parts. And he said, send us the gun and we will disassemble it live on video with no edits. And we'll take a look at it together and we'll see exactly what it is. If it's us, great. If it's SIG, great. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out. Anyway, it's a hot mess. But you're right. Why would you want a staccato? I mean, a couple $1,000 for a gun versus $500, or probably if you're a police department, $400 for a gun. Spend $1/4. But I mean, if they really wanted to do it, they could give away a bunch of guns for free and say, here, you guys try these out, and then see what happens. Maybe they'd get some people buying it.
I think maybe the Beverly Hills Police Department might be the first one to get staccatos.
Yes, we've got staccatos all in nickel. It's all great. Don't worry about it. Less than 2 minutes here before I got to bring Willie on. Chris, what are you working on now? Anything we'll look forward to next month?
Well, let's see. I'm going to the NRA annual meeting next week. So, we will, there's more action happening at the board of directors level. In short, there is a reformist movement within the NRA, and this might be the election that brings in a reformer majority into the board of directors. So that'll be interesting to see what happens. And then I'm still writing my book on the Purple Heart Battalion, which is a World War II novel. I'm about 2/3 of the way through. And so maybe we can chat a little bit about that too.
Oh yeah, well, hit me with a reader with an art copy. I'd like to see that. All right, Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion. Thanks, brother. It's good to see. I love the hair. I do love this hair. The other hair was just too. It was a little bit try hard. I'm just saying it was a little bit try hard. This looks a little better.
Sometimes you gotta get lost in the forest to find yourself.
I believe it.
I mean, I almost did Guy Fieri,
Yeah. Hey, I almost shaved my beard once, and then I came to my senses, and because I'd look like a 12-year-old boy, so I figured I probably should leave it on there. All right, Chris, thanks so much, brother. I'll talk to you again soon. Okay.
Thanks as always.
Appreciate you as always, and all that you do out there. Thank you so much, my friend. All right, folks, that does it. We're coming up against it. We've got more. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense, Liberty-Based, Free Thinking Radio. Willie is on the line, and we're ready to do the weekend. I can't wait. It's going to be so great. Let's get to it. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the things that we need to do. Let's go. Let's do this thing. Here we go. All right, the weekend is almost here. It never starts until Willie hits the house. That's what it is. And when I say hit the house, I mean in his car. That's how he rolls. He just drives it right, just bam, right. That's Willie again. He just hit the house again. Willie Waffle, wafflemovies.com. Hello, my friend.
Okay, I'm a very good driver. Mm-hmm. I want everybody to know that. Okay,
yeah, he always hits the
survived.
House.
I have survived driving the streets of New York City, and if that's not a testimony, I don't know what else is.
Yeah, well, the surviving the streets of New York City is different than actually thriving in the streets of New York. I guess drive, thrive, survive. All right, let's get to it, my friend. We got a lot of stuff to cover today. We'll save my two favorite things for last. Let's talk about Megan.
Okay,
let's talk about Megan. This was a creepy movie about a creepy robot, but now there's a second screen. What's going on here?
Yeah, this is actually I think this is part of the movie revolution, and I think that a lot of movie theaters may actually see this as a way to appeal to a younger generation, to get some more butts in seats, as they say. And as somebody who loves movies, it scares me to death. So we've got Megan, right? The movie, right? The doll that will do anything to protect its kid and goes crazy.
Right.
Well, they're so the Blumhouse Pictures, who actually who released it, is doing a big thing called Halfway to Halloween, and they're gonna show this in theaters one night. There's a couple other their big hits. Ma is one of their big hits, and Annabelle was one of their big hits. Well, the one that is getting everybody's attention is the showing of Megan, a special showing April 30th, because they announced there's a tie-in with it, that there's this company, Movie Mate, that has an app. And during the movie, you could whip out your phone and get special information and secondary information that supplements your watching of the film. And some people are going, it's already bad enough with people having their phones out at movies. Now you want to encourage it? Well, maybe not in one place. Those of you who are familiar with the Alamo Cinema and Draft House, which is the moviegoer's paradise, if you ask me. Okay, they have a very, 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 very strict no phones policy, and they're showing Megan on April 30th, and they have made an announcement. If you take out your phone, we're throwing you out. We're going to kick you right out the door. We are not playing that.
let's invite people to take their phones out during the movie. I already can't get the guy behind me from yelling at his sister or something on the phone while I'm watching a movie, and now you want to encourage people to take their phones out. I mean, is it got some kind of tie-in where it talks to the movie or listens to the movie, or is it just could I do this at home while I'm watching Megan?
No, you got to be watching the movie. It gives you information. It's going to promote the next Megan movie, Megan 2.0, things like that. So it really is meant to be used while you're actually watching the film. Now, this is not the first time this has happened. I can't remember the exact details, but I remember a few years ago, pre-COVID, one of the movie studios was saying, "Listen, why don't you tweet everybody how much you love the movie while you're watching the movie?" And this caused a whole lot of controversy. And AMC Theaters was one of the ones that said, "No, don't do that. Like, stop encouraging people to do that, because we know that it disrupts the movie. Not everybody's happy to do that. Not everybody wants to see your phones lighten up." And they backed off those plans. But I think at this point, everybody's desperate enough to try to get more people to go to the movies that they may try more of these tie-ins. And like I said, I think it's intended to appeal to a younger generation that, not to be stereotypical, but typically has their phones out all the time and is constantly connected to their phones and expect things like this. Like when I watch a movie on Amazon Prime, I can hit a button, I can learn what stars are in the scene, and I can get a little bit more background. Yeah. Yep. When I'm watching a football game on Netflix, there's advertising where I can click a button and go to a website and see, information about whatever they're trying to sell me. I mean, I think that maybe this is something that's going to happen in the future. I'm like you. I don't like it. I want quiet in the theater. I'm so crazy. I even buy the seat next to me to make sure nobody sits next to me. That's how quiet I want it when I'm at the movie theater.
Wow, Willie is like, no, that's my seat. Me and my invisible friend. Just get out of here. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. You'll have to report back on this. Okay, let's move over to one of my favorite shows, Reacher. And I wasn't the only one who liked it. No, I think the whole world liked it.
Yeah, very, very big, very, very big ratings for Reacher. In the month of March, it has been announced by Nielsen that it was the most streamed show in all of March, with 6.6 billion minutes of viewing time.
Wow,
that's pretty good.
That's a lot.
And that's the kind of thing that makes you go, "Oh yeah, there's going to be a fourth season." Yeah, I think people really, really like Reacher. I think they're going to do it. So, hey, good for. I mean, it's a good show. I am so happy when a good show gets good ratings. Like I'm dancing on the ceiling right now. I'm so happy. A show I love, The Pit. The Pit is like in the top 10 of shows. I'm like, yes. That's what I want. No more of these junk shows that I hate getting all the attention. No, we're going to get some good stuff in here.
All right. No, I mean, this is good news for Reacher fans. I'm just waiting for the next Extraction movie with Chris Hemsworth. That's all I'm waiting for. So,
and it's coming.
It's coming.
Yep.
I know it's good. And I'm glad they're seeing it. I'm glad they're responding to what people like. This is some good stuff. All right. 6.6 billion minutes. I mean, how many times is the movie? I can't even do the math on that, man. The whole
I can't either.
The whole thing is like 10 hours long. No, it's 8 episodes. So it's about 7.5 hours long. So 7.5 times 60, I mean, I can't even do the math. It's a lot of viewing. It's a lot of viewing of that. Let's just put it that way. All right. Amanda Bynes. She's kind of a sad story. I mean, she was a pretty girl, struggling actress, then fell apart, had abuse problems, substance abuse, mental health. I mean, she was just a hot mess. And now she's got an OnlyFans, but not like you get your minds out of the gutters, guys. That's not what she's there for. She's actually there to just interact with fans and milk the money, I guess. I don't know what's the deal here.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it. She announced this week and started an OnlyFans account at $50 a month, and like you said, she has made it very clear that there will be, quote, no sleazy content. This is her. She said she wants to do it to interact with fans, and fans can message her, and she'll respond, and she'll share things from her life. And she's really made it like a fan club, and you're going to pay a pretty penny to get in there. And a lot of stars have had a lot of success with OnlyFans, just because they can charge a very premium price, they can make a quick lot of money, and things go on in their lives. And I think what's sad here, I mean, like you said, she's had so many problems. She was a child star. Something has happened in the past. I couldn't tell you what. She was part of that whole Nickelodeon gang. I mean, she was really the queen of Nickelodeon when she was active. And now we hear all these horrible stories about all these things that happened to these child actors at that time. And, you kind of wonder, God, what happened to this poor gal? And, she's, like you said, she's had substance abuse problems. She's had mental health problems. And I think the fact is, this is the way she can make money now. Like, I don't know if all of her money from when she was a kid is still there. I've never heard that she lost it all or that, she's somehow destitute. But when you think about it, she doesn't want to act. I don't think she can act anymore. I think this is her just saying, I need some money. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to score some cash, and I'm going to move forward.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I actually saw an article the other day that was talking about OnlyFans and the fact that, that there's a whole apparently subgenre of OnlyFans that's people who are like teaching knitting. And there was one that was like a pottery thing and all this and it had nothing to do with what your mind immediately goes to when you hear the OF word. And you're like, okay, that's weird. But no, she apparently is going to try and ride that train, I guess, and see what happens. I mean, $50 a month. Oof. That's a woof, man. That's a lot, but
yeah, that's a lot of money. But OnlyFans does want to expand. I mean, and you're right. And they have made a conscious effort. They want people to think of it as more than just, an adult entertainment site. And matter of fact, there was even a few years ago, you might remember, they said they were going to start throwing off the adult entertainment, and it went so badly for them. They backtracked on that like within a week. Because they realized their company was going under if they stopped doing that. Yeah. But I don't think they ever gave up the hope that it would be more aligned with a YouTube or something like that. They are probably happy as heck that she's doing this. They probably want to encourage others to do it, and it's not a bad deal. I mean, if I'm Amanda Bynes, I can see the advantage to this. I control my narrative. I control my content. I can make a lot of money. I can make a lot of money fast. Yeah. It's very tempting.
It'll probably be a flash in the pan, but I mean, God love her. We'll see what happens with that. Okay, we're running out of time here, but you got Star Wars news. Hit me with the Star Wars news.
All right, so we have just fresh last night an announcement that the next Star Wars movie will open May 28th, 2027, directed and partially written by Sean Levy, who is from Deadpool, right? Directed Deadpool,
right?
And starring Ryan Gosling. And this they have said that it will be called Star Wars Starfighter. It is going to be a standalone story. It will have nothing to do with the Skywalkers, but it's going to be just a story within the universe, a la The Mandalorian. And the other piece of news that came out earlier this week, they had their sights on a female lead, Oscar winner Mikey Madison, who just won the Oscar for Best Actress, and she turned them down.
Oh, yeah. She says, sorry. No, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, she says. Yeah, okay. All right, well, that's good news. We'll get more info on that as we go through. All right, we're running out of time here. We've got 3 different things that we need to talk about. Movie theaters, Netflix series. Hit me with them.
Okay, let me hit you with a quick movie on Hulu. This was released in maybe 10 theaters back at Christmas time, more in Europe, I think. Cillian Murphy in a story called Small Things Like These. And it's set in 1985. He's this coal merchant, he's selling coal to all the people in town, including the local monastery or the local nunnery, the convent. Thank you. The local convent, where they take in the wayward girls, the single pregnant girls, and he finds out secrets about them that could ruin them. But more importantly, they could ruin him, because that place is run like Don Corleone runs the mafia. And so he's kind of scared, but he also feels like maybe he's got to do something. It's a very slow moving movie, but I really like how, it's going someplace. We're seeing this guy, his life. Why is he compelled to try to do something? And the ways he tries to help. I'm at 3 waffles. I thought it was a very solid movie.
Okay. All right. How about Ransom Canyon, the new Netflix series, which, by the way, to me sounds like a ripoff of Yellowstone, but that's just me.
Totally. I mean, there's no doubt that they want you to think that. They want you to go, hey, this looks like Yellowstone. If you said that publicly, they'd be like, thank you, sir, and shake your hand. Okay, because it's got all the trappings there, man. We've got some brooding dudes in cowboy hats. We've got love triangles. We've got beautiful scenery of the Texas canyons. There's a mysterious wanderer and some evil hombres trying to steal the land. Yeah, it's a big old soap opera. Josh Duhamel in the lead. Minka Kelly is the woman who's chasing after him. And if he's dumb enough not to let Minka Kelly chase after him, he doesn't deserve to have his show watched. But it's still 2.5 waffles. It's a big, just complicated soap opera that is actually entertaining.
It's entertaining. Okay. Well, as long as it's entertaining, even a cheap knockoff can be entertaining, which leaves us to the last one, with Michael B. Jordan playing himself twice in Sinners.
That's right. Nothing says Easter weekend like a vampire movie, my friends. And that's what you've got here. He's twin brothers. They've returned to their hometown down in the Jim Crow South in 1932. And the rumor is they made all their money working for Al Capone up in Chicago, and they brought it back home. They want to start, kind of investing in businesses and starting some fun. But they start a dance hall, and how do I say it? It gets surrounded by vampires, and they're in for a lot of trouble. And I'm telling you, this is such a good movie. It goes beyond just being a really cool vampire movie. I mean, it really is about the racial divisions in the area, the segregation, the challenges that these guys face, and all the ways that everybody who goes to that dance hall wants to get away from the poverty and the depression and everything else that's going on. And now here comes evil. And the guys are like, we have been kicked around long enough. We are going to fight off evil. I'm at 3.5 waffles.
Oh, wow.
Really
wow.
good.
Okay. I heard the premise and I was like, oh, this sounds weak, but not anyway. Anyway, happy Easter, folks. We will see you guys on Monday. Have a great one. Yeah, because I first saw this and I thought, well, this is kind of, I don't know. You hear it, you're like, but a period piece in the 30s with vampires.
Yep.
That kind of hooks me even better. I didn't see the trailers. I just heard kind of the premise, and I didn't realize it was a period piece. I'm kind of a sucker for any movie that's set in the 30s or 40s. I really am.
It's really cool, and it is this slice of Americana. As you're getting into this area, you're seeing the role that blues music plays, the hoodoo, the folklore, all of it coming together. Michael B. Jordan is a fantastic actor, and here he is playing two different characters, and they are so distinctly different, and they follow such different paths in the movie. And when you put that together with his commanding screen presence and the way that he makes each character stand out on their own, you just go, wow, yeah, that guy's really good. Like, he's really good.
And then you throw some vampires in the mix and it gets even better. I mean, it's you
got some vampire. The evil vampires from North Carolina. If that doesn't scare you, nothing will.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. All right, well, so 3.5 waffles. It sounds like a good weekend movie, or a good weekend movies and stuff this week. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think I was surprised. I mean, This is usually not the biggest weekend. We're heading towards the summer movie season, and next week will probably be the last week of like movie dumps, and then May 2nd.
Yep.
Thunderbolts is out, and that'll start your summer movie season, where you're just gonna have big hits coming out until about mid-July.
Hey, did you see the new trailer drop for the Fantastic Four?
I have seen. I don't know if I saw the latest one. I've seen one, and I was like, okay, this might be better than the last Fantastic Four.
It was interesting.
It might be a lot better
because, again, it's kind of a period piece. It's kind of a Jetsons, kind of a.
I think is it set in the 60s or something?
Yeah, like the 50s or something, like, because it's very much kind of that idealized future retro kind of thing, at the end. I love it because it says filmed in Fantastivision at the bottom, and it was but it looks pretty cool. I'm interested to see how they play it, so we'll have to I don't know if I like Johnny Flame, but we'll see. Good. We'll see. I can't wait. All right. Well, Willie, thank you, my friend. As always, great to talk with you, and we will catch you next week. We'll be
next
ready
week.
Ready to go.
It's going to be huge. It's going to be massive.
It's going to be huge. What's huge? It's going to be huge.
Well, it's going to be The Accountant 2.
Yes, I actually watched the trailer for that and realized I hadn't seen The Accountant 1, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to watch both of these because these both look really good, especially with the Punisher. I've forgotten his name right off the top of my head, but John. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about.
John Bernthal.
John Bernthal. There you go. Yeah, I'm digging it, and the trailer looks good. So we'll see. All right. Well, thanks, Willie. We'll talk to you next week. Have a happy Easter, my friend.
Hey, you too. Talk to you next week.
All right, folks. We'll see you on Monday. Judith, I just totally forgot. Judith Bruce is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about her new book, Pixel. Anyway, we're going to talk about it on Monday. Judy Eckert, Pixel Pandemic. There we go. That's the name of it. All right. We will see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.
Welcome.